Good morning. I am indeed alive. I haven't streamed in like, I don't know, gotta be like 10 weeks. Oh, at least over a week. I gotta get my setup worked out. Hello, Suhas. How are you? Good to see you, man. Long time no see. Is the mic back? There we go. Sorry. Yeah, I wondered if you guys thought I was dead. I kind of fell off there. We moved. That was the reason for the big hiatus. Test, 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 test. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I got to get all my microphone stuff worked out. You know how that is when you set up a new space. Hey, what's up, Ducky Dev? How goes things with your Cloudflare competitor? You still working on that? So, are you stream well and often? So I'm gonna try to get back to streaming and doing it at like the normal schedule that I was before the move happened. Steven, great news. Me and my project went viral, nearly 200 stars. Well, that's fantastic, dude. That's awesome, man. That must be really cool to build something and see people use it. It's got to be a great feeling. Yeah, I'm gonna try to stream well and often. So we'll see. I've got a meeting at 11 a.m. Central, so I've got about 50 more minutes. But yeah, I'm gonna try to get back to the habit of trying to stream in the morning for an hour and then stream at lunchtime for about an hour. So we'll see. We'll see how successful that goes. Oh, sorry, Arkin. Good to see you, Arkin. Hello. I hope you're doing well. I meant to say hi to you. I think my mic cut out when I said hi to you, but I meant to say hi. So I think Suos is asking about Ducky Dev's project. If you search it, it'll come up. It's basically right, Ducky Dev. The idea behind it is basically to do Cloudflare like things, but locally, which is pretty cool. Do I really need to spend 10 minutes writing? No, you don't. If you just hear, I'll post the link in the chat for everybody. Here's the project. There you go. But that's awesome, man. 200 stars. Woo! You'd be blowing up. Hey, have a good sleep, man. Thanks for stopping by to say hi. I know I was kind of like I worried that people thought like, oh no, Steven's gone. We've lost him. So I figured as soon as I could get back up and running, I probably should. Bro, can you tell me about JDBC? I don't know. I don't even know what that acronym is. JDBC, Java Database Connectivity. I've never written any Java before, Ragu Rock, so I can't help very well with Java things. Seems like it's some sort, maybe an ORM or like a common layer, a common API layer for people to talk to databases or something like that. Hmm. That's interesting. I've never heard of that before today. Hello, MD. How are you doing? Hey, man, I appreciate you. You've made a lot of comments on my videos and my shorts, and I appreciate that. So thank you. Good to see you, man. Hope life is treating you well. Ducky Dev, a YouTuber, servers at home mentioned us on his top 10 Docker apps of August or something. That's awesome, Ducky Dev. Well, I'm very excited for you, man. That's wonderful that you've put something out into the world and other people are getting benefit from it. That's a good feeling. Implementing your own graph database? Whew, I don't know if I'd want to do that. I just don't have much interest in rebuilding existing technologies. Like, I know people say like you should build an HTTP server, you should implement an HTTP server like for the learning, which is probably, like implementing a graph database, you probably are going to learn a lot, but I don't know. My interest right now is not there to do work like that. But I'm glad you found a project to work on. Imagine when you think about Elon Musk, you think about X, so that it will retrieve the data with all the relations, not implementing it using an existing one, but with ARG. What's ARG? I don't know what ARG is. Oh, augmented retrieval. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, there's a couple graph databases out there now, right? Um, because we actually considered using one at work. We considered using a graph database for a project we were working on. We didn't end up doing it. It was probably overkill for what we needed, but the ones we looked at were like Neo4j. There was like a couple. Neo4j, um, I can't remember the other one. You're learning Rust? Nice. So MD, that's learning Rust is definitely on my list of things to do. I started to try to learn it a little bit in January just by going through the Rust programming language book. However, now I've switched gears and I'm trying to learn Go because I want to do Advent of Code this year in Go. But once you get through like your Rust learnings or whatever, or if you just want to periodically report back, I'd love to hear how you're feeling about learning Rust, especially if you're coming from like other programming languages. I'd love to hear about kind of like the ups, the downs, the goods, the bads. Hello, Artwork Studios. Yeah, what's up, man? It's okay. You don't worry about having to stay. I appreciate you just dropping by to say hello. Because yeah, I was gone there for a little while. Yeah, man, thanks. Yeah, it's not gonna be a long one. I probably got another 45 minutes or so. Oh, also, there's no music. I just realized this. There's no music. Hold on one sec. I'm gonna hook us up with some music. There we go. The vibes were off there, weren't they? There we go. The vibes are better now. Bro, how's life? Life is good. So, like I said, we spent the last, well, actually, I guess a week ago from today, we got the keys to our new rental. And so basically, the last 7 days have just involved me picking up heavy things, putting them into a truck, driving the truck to another place, picking up said heavy things again, placing them in the new place, and then repeating that. So I haven't really lifted weights in 4 or 5 days because I've been so gassed. I think the first 2 days of moving, I think I walked 15 miles just moving stuff. So I'm sort of still recovering from all that trauma, if you want to call it trauma. Like we really probably should hire movers these days, but it still kills me to spend that much money when I'm physically capable of doing all the moving. But I'm glad that part of it's over. Now it's just we're just trying to get settled into our new place, and yeah. But that's yeah, life's good, man. Work's good. My wife's healthy. My kids are healthy. I'm healthy, so it's all good. Indian labor is so cheap enough that we will just outsource it. Just outsource what? Moving? MD, it actually feels pretty good coming from C. I struggled a bit with Rust syntax in the beginning, but once you start thinking the Rust way, it becomes much easier and even fun to work with it. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, see, I haven't written any C, so you probably have a little bit of a leg up on me in that sense because I've never written kind of um, a non GC language before. So that was a new experience for me. Thinking about ownership and the borrow checker, it adds kind of a it adds an extra layer of consideration when you're writing code, which is kind of interesting. I would also agree that Rust syntax is strange. I know a lot of people think that Rust syntax is super readable, but this may be a hot take. I don't find it that readable myself. Maybe I'm in the minority there, but yeah, I don't find it that readable. So that's basically when we went through the easy levels, you directly went for the big bad boss C. Yeah, I guess I don't honestly think for my personal needs, there's probably not a good reason to learn C or to learn Rust other than I just want to. And so when I was picking between like what's a low level language to learn, I picked Rust because it just seemed like that was the future low level programming language, or it felt like that at that moment in time. Like maybe I should do Rust instead of C. So that's why Steven is alive. We thought he had succumbed to web dev. No, but I almost did succumb to moving. That's the reason why I haven't been around is because I've been moving for the last 7 days. Stux, where have you been? I've been moving. That's where I've been. So we moved rental. We got a new rental place, and so I was in the process of moving a whole family of things to this new space. But in the new place, I do have a dedicated, like I have a dedicated office now, so I'm not just in the living room like I was at our old place, which is kind of nice. I wanted to contribute in Linux development. That's why I learned C. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I don't think I have the chops to do operating system level type stuff. But yeah, that's just me. Oh, cool. How was it? The move was good. It's a lot, you know. Like you just realize whenever you move from one place to the other, you realize like, man, I have a lot of shit. Why? And then the next question is, why do I have so much shit? Nothing lets you nothing lets you know how much useless trash you have stored more than moving. It's 100% the case. And like I would just keep finding stuff and being like, "What the hell is this and why do I have it?" Steven, can you move the camera around so we can save your office? Oh yeah, for sure. I can take a snapshot of what it's still in the process of kind of being set up, but I can take a snapshot of it and I'll post it in the Discord. People can use 0 likes on me? What do you mean? What are 0 likes? I don't know what that is. Hey, Curious World, how are you? Steven, what do you do for work? Right now I work as a quality engineer for a software company. And so I mainly do most of my workday is between two activities. Either I'm doing manual testing for a web application or I'm writing automated tests for that same web application. So that's like 90% of my job, and then probably 10% of my job is like the piece of software that we work on is very configurable, and so about probably 10% of my work is focused on just helping people with the software, right? Like helping people work through challenging configurations or problems that they can't quite figure out how to solve. That's like, but if you're curious of just my professional history, um, if you type exclamation point LinkedIn, Nightbot should, I'm hoping it works, should post back with my LinkedIn message or my LinkedIn profile. But I honestly don't know if it's going to work. It says I'm online. I don't know why. I don't know why that's not working here. Let me just post the link. But yeah, if you're curious, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I've had kind of an eclectic professional career. I've worked in tech the last few years, and then before that, I worked in food science. Before that, I was a medical scribe and a personal trainer. So I've kind of had a little bit of a eclectic career to date. By the way, what language do you usually code in, like your main language? So I primarily use C# and TypeScript these days. I always say on stream, my favorite language is C#, but if I could only write one language going forward, it would be TypeScript. Obviously, if I'm doing something client side, it's going to be TypeScript. If I'm doing something back end, 9 times out of the 10, I'm going to reach for C#. But I could also do the back end in TypeScript if I wanted, you know. Hey, Oxnell, how are you, man? Good to see you again. Thanks for stopping in. Stux, I have to make a shop website with working front end and back end plus payment processor plus actual product for a school project. And we have to use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript only. So I guess that sounds like a big project, Stux, but can you use packages? So from the JavaScript perspective, can you use other people's code or do you have to implement everything from scratch? Because if you have to implement everything from scratch, that's a pretty big lift. If you can use other people's packages, you should be pretty well on your way. Curious World, that sounds cool, man. I'm going to connect with you. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, grab my LinkedIn. You can scroll through my job history there and feel free to connect with me, man, for sure. MD, when you learn to code. So I learned to code. So the first time attempting to learn how to code was probably in 2018. I took this course, this free course from Duke University that was teaching like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Well, I guess I should say I took computer programming 1 and computer programming 2 in college as electives, and both those classes were in C sharp. That was like 2015, 2014, 2015. I was a senior. I was like a senior in college. Then I didn't touch it again until 2018. Then after that Duke course in 2018, 2019, I didn't really pick it up again until 2021. Basically, when my oldest kid started kindergarten, I was like, you know what? He's gonna go through elementary school and learn all these things, and I really should put this time to use for myself too, to learn a new skill. And with the job that I had at the time, I was like, learning to write code would be really helpful for what I'm doing for work. And so that's where I started Free Code Camp's curriculum. So that was I got really serious about it like 2021, spring of 2021, and have just kind of ran with it from there. How's life? Life's good, Oxnell. I've been kind of absent here on YouTube recently. We were moving, so we've kind of had a busy last week, but we finally have started to settle in, and now are just kind of relaxing and trying to fall back into our normal rhythm. Yes, we can use packages, but only for the payment processor. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so you could do like Stripe's SDK. So yeah, you'll be that was the part that I was thinking like might be a lift. I've never worked with Stripe's API myself or a payment processor's API myself, so that was the part that I was like, that might be a big lift. But I think you'll have fun. I think you'll have a lot of fun, man. Yeah. So, Stephen, what do you think about me integrating my AI assistant, my SQL database, to add projects, remove projects, tasks, remove tasks, update tasks, add mouse? Yeah, I think integrating AI to do CRUD operations could be interesting. I think that's just a different. To me, that's like almost like having a different user interface, right? So you have like the GUI, which people can use to interact with through forms and data, but maybe you want them to be able to do it through some sort of like chat interface or even a spoken interface, right? And so that's where you can use the power of kind of the LLM's semantic understanding to orchestrate those same tasks. So I think that would be an interesting project. How tall are you? I'm 5'9", like depending on the day, between 5'8" and 5'10", depending on the day and time of day. What do you think about the future of graphical user interfaces? I don't think graphical user interfaces uh, are going away. Like, I think they're going to be here to stay. I think humans want to be able to look and see, feel, touch, right? It's the same reason why we still have analog switches and analog buttons. There's something tangible about these things. Now, I think there's I think LLMs open a world where interfaces can be more mixed modalities, right? So maybe LLMs make it much more useful to have something like Amazon Alexa in your house because now Alexa doesn't suck, right? Or maybe Siri doesn't suck as much because these LLMs are much better at orchestrating tasks and understanding human language than maybe technologies of the past. So I don't think there's a world where the internet suddenly becomes all AI driven, right? I think there's still going to be a place for GUIs. Oh, and you're taking the opposite side. You think they won't exist? I think they will. I think definitely AIs can make it, or LLMs can definitely make using your voice or using text to do things or automate things or control things much more useful, right? But I don't think it's going to get rid of GUIs. See, Oxnell, thanks for stopping by, man. Appreciate you saying hello. You said you do automated tests using Playwright for web apps. I've been building a web app with Flask and React. Are there any key automated tests I could include? I only use logging. So I would think the number one thing probably everybody would want to automate out of the box for a web application is you should be able to log in. You should be able to sign up, log in, log out. Right? Those are like three critical functionalities in any application that has some user identity that like you never want to break, right? That to me that's the best the first candidates for end-to-end testing because end-to-end testing is slow, or it's slower, it can be slower, um, and they take more resources to maintain and upkeep and write. That the first things you should consider automating with those end-to-end tests or testing with those end-to-end tests are those critical user workflows that you never ever want to break when you push to production or before you push to production. So to me, those are the first three things that stick out, right? Like you don't want to deploy to production and people can't sign in, or people can't sign up, or people can't log out, right? So like start with those three and then work down the ladder. What are the other critical paths in my workflow, right? Like if you're a task app, you probably don't want to break any of the CRUD operations in your tasks app, right? You should always be able to create, delete, view, update. So that's where I would start. Kind of a triage. I think AI is going to design customized graphical user interfaces on the spot for the user. I mean, it's a cool idea. It's a cool idea. Yeah, it's a cool idea, but like now you're talking about you're going to have some. Yeah, I guess like think of the infrastructure that would require for an AI to be able to generate the code for a graphical user interface and also make sure that that graphical user interface can talk to whatever APIs or whatever data it needs to. Then it needs to deploy that and host it somewhere, right? The infrastructure in order to realize that vision is pretty big, but it would be cool. Today I discovered Helix, but it's written in Rust. So we tried Helix on stream, I think, like 2 or 3 months ago, and I gave it like a day, and no, I gave it like an hour, and then left it behind. What do you think about input devices? What do you mean input devices? Imagine tracking your eye movement to decide where the cursor should be, like neural interfaces. That would be pretty cool. I mean, I think if you could, I mean, my ultimate interface is like Jarvis, right? Like I remember watching Iron Man when it came out in 2009. I think it was when the Iron Man release date. I think it was 2008. So I remember watching Iron Man in '08. I would have been a freshman in high school. And I remember watching Tony Stark use Jarvis and thinking that's the epitome, right? Where you can literally use natural language. You can send this AI off to do really complex tasks and it be reliable and predict and almost deterministic in its ability to get something to completion and report on the output of that completion or that task that you gave it. That to me is like, give me that interface, I'm all in. I'm all in. I don't think that means that GUIs go away because you'll still need, like, you'll still want your AI to be able to provide you visual feedback like you see in Iron Man with Jarvis. But just having a very intelligent, omnipotent assistant like that would be an awesome way to compute. I see, that makes sense. It is mostly data processing for financial ops. Currently, workflow for sign-on is Auth0. Yeah, so then you might have to get creative, or your end-to-end test might be a little bit more complex. But you could definitely automate signing in with Auth0, right? Just pick whoever the providers are using Google or whoever you've integrated that with. Auth0, whatever providers you support through Auth0. Just pick a couple and make sure you can go through the full flow. I want a real life Jarvis. Jarvis is the GOAT. Yeah, I mean that hasn't come to pass, right? I mean, we have things that are kind of like it, right? We have Alexa, we have Siri, but none of those things work like Jarvis did in those movies, right? And that's honestly that's the type of AI that excites me. I mean, LLMs, they're very useful. They make orchestrating tasks with natural language awesome, right? You can do all these cool things with LLMs, but they still aren't that, right? They aren't that. At least not yet. I'm not sure about that. So I mean, it sounds cool. Yeah, go out and try to implement it. Go try to build a POC and see what you learn. We need sentient AI. Yeah. Sentient AI that's also controllable. Yeah, I don't want James Spader AI. Appreciate you, Steven. Got to go back to work. Enjoy the day. See you, Curious World. Thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate you. Yeah, MD, that's a really, yeah. Anytime you're switching a tool, if there's the amount of cost and productivity you have to pay, right? When you switch a tool, that's kind of what's going to determine whether that tool is sticky or not. That's actually a thing that held me off from using NeoVim for a really long time. I just did not want to pay the productivity hit, and it's difficult. It's difficult. My first project was Jarvis. It was written in Python, like just opens apps and search Wikipedia. Yeah. Yeah. Like, and that's the thing. You have to for Jarvis to really exist, right? It has to have all that semantic understanding, but then it has to have the right set of primitive tools that it can use, right? It reminds me of a lot of Anthropic's computer use. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Anthropic's API, but they have this idea of computer use where it can do kind of it can use these primitive tools like a text editor, a terminal, a web browser, and then you can provide it almost like inputs from the screen so that it can basically essentially to try to mimic a human using a computer. But that's what you really need, right? If the AI or if the Jarvis that you try to create is locked into to tools that are too numerous and too preset that it can't compose them together in useful ways, yeah, it's not going to work, right? So it almost needs to be like a sandboxed environment or like a sandbox VM where it has access to all those primitive inputs and then it has that level of precision and accuracy and reliability like a human being. Josh, your 3D projector idea seems interesting, man. It doesn't spark anything for me personally, but if you're interested in it, go for it. Follow your interests, you know? ChatGPT has agent mode so it can order your food or make a note, everything on the browser. I've not used that. I knew that it had the agent mode, but I've not used it. But there will be a new internet for AI that's called MCP servers. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think MCP is definitely makes a lot of sense, right? Having a protocol, having a shared layer, right, which is what MCP is. It provides this shared layer of abstraction that LLM clients and that LLMs can rely on predictably, or I shouldn't say that LLMs, that developers can build against and predictably know that the stuff they're building is compatible. I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't know if that's like a new internet though, right? I don't know if that's a new internet. I think it's MCP is more about trying to make it very easy to take pre-existing interfaces and expose them to AIs in a universally compatible way, right? Um, but I don't know if I would say it's a new internet for AI. Like maybe it's a way to make the internet more AI friendly. Maybe might be an interesting way to put it. But I don't know if I would say it's a new internet because most of these MCPs are not like if you look at GitHub's MCP, if you look at the source code, it's just wrapping GitHub's existing APIs, right? It's just tools and functions that are wrapping the existing APIs, but in a way that's compatible, that it can be shared across a lot of different MCP clients or a lot of different tools can make use of it. AI is probably going to be a hive mind. What you mean, like where there's a bunch of systems all talking to each other, type of thing? I'm going to rewrite DWM in Rust. What's DWM? I've never heard of that acronym. What do you think about AI safety? I think AI safety is very important, right? We do not want uh, we do not want an Ultron on our hands, right? So I think we're far away from having AI that's actually that intelligent that it's a threat. But I think that it's one of those things where we probably aren't going to like knowingly approach we probably aren't going to knowingly approach AGI. It's probably going to be something we stumble and trip over, if I had to guess. And so having people who are thinking about these things and thinking about safety and trying to engineer that into the process is probably time well spent. I'm not smart enough to tell you what AI safety looks like, but yeah, I'm all for it. I do not think we want another. I don't think we want another Manhattan Project, right? We don't want another thing where it's like we invent a new technology that unleashes this destructive force that completely alters the course of human history and how humans conduct themselves globally, and then trying to put the genie back in the bottle after the fact, right? I think that would be kind of a failure on us to repeat history in a way that's not good. I think the worst company who cuts corners on AI safety will succeed because it will not be restricted by safety concerns. That's an interesting thought. That's a really interesting point. Yeah. Well, I think that's a huge reason why um, I'm so skeptical of OpenAI, Anthropic. I'm skeptical of all these companies right now because they all are sort of in this existential situation, maybe except for Google. They're all in this existential situation where they're burning so much money and they're having to raise so much money that I don't think their real priority, or I think their real priorities of making AGI openly accessible to benefit all of humanity, I think that's largely gone by the wayside. And now it's about we need to get a return on all this money we've raised and then burned. Like, you can't spend billions and billions of dollars and not have people wondering, well, when am I going to get a return on that billions and billions of dollars? So I'm a little skeptical that any of these companies are prioritizing safety, and I'm skeptical that any of them are prioritizing making AI beneficial for all humanity at this point. I think it's about productizing and monetizing the technologies that they've already developed, which is unfortunate, but I think that's where we are. Anthropic safety work is actually good. 10% of Fortune 500 is because of AI. So if AI crashes, 10% of your. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the Mag 7 accounts for a huge percentage of the growth in the S&P 500. And, but, I mean, that's one of those things like, that's fine though, right? Like if those seven companies are that overvalued, there's going to be a correction at some point, and you'll accept that hit, and corrections are to be expected in a market. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's anything wrong with. It's not the people that work at these companies, right? Like, I believe that there are scientists at Anthropic, and I believe there are researchers at OpenAI. I believe that there are people that work at these companies who have good intentions. The problem is those people don't run these companies. Those people aren't the people who are investing billions of dollars into these companies, right? And so at the end of the day, those people's intentions are sort of secondary to the intentions of those people who are financially on the hook for the survival of these companies. Suhas, will that be followed by a recession? I don't know. I mean, I think a big correction like that could. I would say, I think if you took away the growth in the Mag 7, I think you could argue, if you remove AI from the picture, I think you could argue that the U.S. has been in a recession or nearing a recession for a year or more at this point. Um, like, a lot of the spend and the investment and the growth in equities is largely driven by the AI spend, right? These large infrastructure investments to support AI, or companies expending on AI tools. Like, I would say that's a big reason why we haven't seen as much pain economically. But I think if you remove all that capital, like, it's probably likely things are a lot worse than what we perceive them to be at the moment, right? The BRICS. We should totally invent our own currency to save ourselves from America. I don't know, man. I mean, as an American, you know, I want the U.S. dollar to remain strong. I want the U.S. dollar to remain the world's reserved currency. So I'm a little U.S. centric in my feelings there. I will readily admit. I wonder why Nightbot hasn't been working during this stream. Do I have to like reconnect it or something? Hmm. Yeah, I can see the statistics in Nightbot, but for whatever reason, the commands and the timers are not working, which is weird. It would be awesome if there is one global currency, not being afraid of sanctions and inflations. Yeah, I honestly don't know, and I'm not smart enough to know what would happen if there was one world currency. I'm not smart enough to understand all how all the macroeconomics things connect. Uh, I do know though when you lose the when you don't when your country's currency is no longer the world's reserve currency, it's not good for you. Maybe good for others, you know. I mean, I think China, Russia, I think they would very much like to see the U.S. dollar be supplanted, right? I mean, there's benefit for other people. It's benefit for them. It's unfair when another economy suffers because one economy is printing a lot of money. Yeah, unfortunately, we live in an unfair and unjust world. I mean, rich people drive nicer cars, have better houses, can afford better health care, live longer. Um, Unfortunately, that's the world we live in. By the way, do you like Trump? I'm not a Trump fan. Obviously, I respect the office that President Trump holds as an American. Um, but no, I did not. I did not vote for Mr. Trump, President Trump either time. Um, I feel like as a man and as a father of two sons, it would be very difficult for me personally if my kids were to ask me, "Did you vote and support Donald Trump?" Be very hard for me to stand by that just from a moral perspective. Um, so yeah, that's a big hurdle. I mean, policy aside, uh, policies aside, uh, it's just something I couldn't personally get myself to a place where I could make that make sense. Which isn't to say that I think people like I have friends and families who are Trump supporters, right? So it isn't to say like I don't believe in the whole identity politics thing, right? Like I think in America we need to get much more back to a place where you know Republicans and Democrats can be best friends and they can hold differing opinions and they can discuss them in a civil manner and not turn it into a very personal vendetta, you know. I was saying that DWM is a really minimal window manager for Linux. It controls how windows open, move, and tile on your desktop. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of DWM. But then again, I don't use Linux as a daily driver. Um, Although, I don't know if you guys have seen DHH's Omarchy. Oh, I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say it. It's Omarchy. It's basically like DHH and a community around him have taken. I think Arch Linux is like kind of like the base kernel or distribution they're using, but then they've added a bunch of things on top of it to sort of almost make like their own Linux distribution. And I watched the video that he posted on his YouTube channel, um, and I was like, man, that looked really good. Like it looked really good. The operating system just looked very pretty, and I thought, man, I need to install this. I need to give this a shot. You think American politics is bad? Wait till you see Indian politics. Yeah. I mean, I guess we all probably have some amount of experience, right, with our each of our individual countries' political atmosphere. Yeah, MD, yeah, I agree. I have not used it, but I'd like to give it a try. It looks very nice. Looks very, very nice. Maddox, oh my God, how the heck are you, Stephen? I've been working so much, I haven't been able to catch a stream in about 2 months. Well, that's okay, Maddox. I think that's awesome that you're. I mean, you're obviously out there getting the paper, getting the bag. That's what's important. So no hard feelings there. Appreciate you stopping back by and saying hi though. I haven't streamed in like 7+ days. So this is the first stream that I've been on in a little while. So I hope you're well. I hope you're not too worn out from work. Hopefully you've put a little extra paper in your pocket. And yeah, I hope you're doing well. Try on VM then. Yeah, I think I have two old MacBook Pros. Or I have an old MacBook Air and an old MacBook Pro. I think I'm gonna put it on one of those. Bro, what are you working on? Well, this usually during this time I usually just do emails and Slack and a lot of admin tasks that I need to get done for the day. So it's usually not very interesting during this hour of my workday. It's amazing to see other people's projects and what they're working on. Oh, agreed. Yeah, some of the stuff people come up with and build is nuts. Like I don't know if you guys have you guys ever heard of Pocket Base? Pocket Base has got to be one of the coolest one-man band projects out there. It's like a whole backend as a service. It's like a whole backend as a service in a single file. It's nuts. I think it's all written in Go. You guys should check it out. It's yeah, the stuff like I look at that and then I look at the things I build and I think, oh my goodness, I'm not as talented as I thought I was. Maddox, I'm homesick today with back pain. Muscle relaxers means not allowed to drive at work. Can call yeah, for sure. Yep, you don't want to be at work on muscle relaxants. But yeah, I hope your back feels better. Back pain is the worst. It's the absolute worst, man. It's awful. All right, I've got an 11 o'clock meeting that I'm going to run to. I'm going to try to stream this afternoon over lunch. So if you're around and you see me live again, please stop in, say hello. I think my plan is to, well, I don't know what my plan is. I can't even remember the last thing I worked on stream. So we'll see. We'll see what the plan is. But if you're around, you see me live, stop in. Goody good. Sorry, man. Bad timing. But yeah, what's up, dude? Keyshawn, bad timing as well. See ya. I apologize. I got to run though. All right, bye guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday. If I see you later, I'll see you then. If I don't, have a great rest of your Tuesday. If it's already Wednesday for you, have a great rest of your Wednesday. And I'll talk to you guys later.